Okay, we're recording. So I'd like to welcome everybody out to our weekly blab on alternative health. And we have some exciting things to announce. But before I do, let me share who I am. I'm Mike Warren, and I have a company called Alternative Health Concepts. And we are an education company, but we also have a proprietary product that is called BioPro Plus that we sell that is a human immune modulator, which modulates our immune system and helps build our immune system back up. We can get into more on that later. You see the website right under my name, and we'd love to have anybody go to our website and check out what we have to offer and join our tribe if you would, and get on our email list. We send out at least three emails weekly that have all to do with alternative health, different fun things, different recipes. We also highlight a lot of different alternative health sites that are on the web so that you don't have to do all the searching. Every Monday we have a really comprehensive review where we go out and we find each week, five very up-to-date informational websites that have to do with alternative health. People have said that they really enjoy that. It helps them when they're looking around for things to get on and get informed, and so we do that. Right below me, and it will change, he says a poor internet signal, so maybe nobody's seeing his picture right now. I'm not sure. Well, there he is my partner, Wayne Dorban. Wayne handles all of our digital marketing, if you will, anything online. His team and our team now is responsible for what you're seeing now and what's happening now with this blab. He handles our website, he handles our digital marketing, and Wayne is a animal lover himself. We have a guest today, Kim Wendt, who I will call the horse whisperer. Wayne's an alpaca whisperer and a dog whisperer a little bit. So he's into all things animals, and also very much into the green space and helping our planet become sustainable. And so it's exciting to have him here, and Wayne is going to co-host with us. Wayne, did you have anything you wanted to add this morning? I see that you're in a bagel shop, it looks like.
I am. I'm in Booger's Bagel Shop here in Pacific Beach in California. I've got a jacket on because I'm at a conference here today that, if you guys haven't checked out the gentleman that's hosting this, I highly recommend that you do. His name is Brendan Burchard. Brendan Burchard is probably going to become the next Tony Robbins. He is that dynamic, and he's amazing. So I get to go get fired up by Brendan Burchard in just a few minutes here. So I'll be jumping on an Uber ride in a little bit, and I'm a huge advocate. We are, all of us here on our team, huge advocates of what we call the sharing economy. Now, things like Uber. I'm staying in an Airbnb location in Pacific Beach rather than a hotel, and AHC is just an amazing partner of ours. And I have a little story I want to tell to start out, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mike, and I'm going to mute myself. I was on a blab just a little bit ago that's probably still live right now. Don't switch to it, but it's called Blab Nation, and a guy named Jonathan Trent hosts it, and he just brings other people on, so you can go on to that and just tell a little bit about yourself, and then they give impressions.
Oh no. Don't tell me we lost you, Wayne.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
So on my phone, so I use Blab on my phone, and so he was calling, and I'm going to decline the call. Anyway, this fellow was on. He came on somewhat reluctantly onto this Blab Nation, and he looked a little disheveled, like he had maybe just woken up, and he said, you know, I'm an online guy. I do a variety of different things, but mainly I really just care about helping people, and I try to do something every day to help people. And then he took his phone up and he put it up in front like this and showed a picture of a little girl with a rose by it. And this little girl is in the Make-A-Wish Foundation program. And Make-A-Wish, if you don't know it, is a group that's amazing that helps people that have mainly cancer, mainly children, and gives them the chance to make a wish and to hopefully fulfill it. Well, this little girl is in the Missouri, and I say that because I'd really like you to go to their site. I don't remember the name of it. I think it's mo.makeawish or something like that. Maybe Teresa could find it for us. But it's the Missouri Make-A-Wish Foundation. Her name is Amelia. You'll find her profile on the front page. Amelia's wish is just to do something tomorrow on Saturday to help the planet. That's her wish. She could wish to go to Disneyland. She could wish to have some wonderful present. But her wish is, as an 8-year-old, to help the world. She's dying of brain cancer. She probably won't be alive in another month. And hopefully, Mike, maybe we can reach out to her and get some BioPro in her hands.
Absolutely.
So maybe we could do something for that situation. But what a story. Put some tears in my eyes at the time. And you know, just that's what we can do here on the Blab community, is we can help other people. So if you could tweet out, follow out, do whatever, go to that site on the Missouri Make-A-Wish Foundation. You'll see her picture right on the homepage. And tomorrow, go out and collect some trash. That's what she wants. She wants people collecting trash tomorrow. A guy came on, by the way, on the Blab, who had 650 million followers. No, that's wrong number. 6.5 million followers on Twitter. And he tweeted it out, and he said the story will be trending within the next couple of minutes.
Oh, I bet.
He said, I just happened to show up here. His name is
That's
Johnny
cool.
Ray. I don't know anything. I guess he's a world-known author. So that's all I have. If everybody would do that. Teresa's going to tell you some things throughout this. Mike will do the same. Follow other people that are on here. There's 17 people, it looks like, that have viewed, and some that are on, some that aren't right now. But follow them, because you never know. You might want to know what they're showing for their blabs, and you might want to do one yourself, and you're going to want people to follow you back. So please do that. And if you have questions, put them in the chat section. Mike will answer or help answer. And I'm going to put myself on mute now.
Okay,
actually,
great.
I'm going to open up a seat, Mike, and I'll come back in later as I get a little bit further done with my bagel. So thank you so much. Kim, you're going to be awesome. We're looking forward to it. I'll be listening while I eat my bagel.
Thank you.
Great. Just one last thing I want to just talk about real quick before we move on to Kim here and get started with our blab. If you get a chance, go to the website right below me, and we have just launched our animal health site. And if you go onto the site, right at the very top bar, you'll see a human health and animal health. And as some of you know that are following us, my partner, and happens to be my father, is an equine veterinarian. And he works with racehorses, thoroughbred racehorses, and he's been doing that for 50 plus years now. So we're starting our animal health section, if you will, or blog, and we've got it's a separate website into itself, and you can subscribe to that. If you're already a member of our newsletter on alternative health concepts, there will be an opportunity for you to subscribe to our health blog also with animals. So our furry friends, we're starting with horses because that's where my father's expertise is. That's my background, and one reason why we have Kim today, and I'd like to introduce her. Kim Wende is, I like to call her, just a little bit of research that I've done about her, she's kind of a horse whisperer extraordinaire. Kind of an exciting person to understand, and I got to give a little background of my history. I'm the oldest of 4 boys, and my father has always been an equine veterinarian as long as I can remember, since I was about 6 years old or something like that. And we never were able to have horses because I had really bad asthma, and I was very much allergic to them. And I'd go out to the track, or I'd go to a farm or a ranch with my dad, and never could be around it very often because my asthma would flare up and I couldn't breathe, and he'd end up having to give me a shot. I can say that now, but back then he probably wasn't supposed to. But he was a doctor, just a horse doctor, so he practiced on us kids. But at any rate, it was it was exciting for me to grow up around horses. I love horses. My dad in the past has had a couple of horse ranches. One was a breeding farm where he bred horses, and we'd go out there all the time as a young adult and help and do that. But I couldn't be around it much because of my asthma. One of the things that changed my asthma around was BioPro, and that's the product that we sell that helps modulate your immune system. And asthma is an immune response. It's a problem with your body that is in your lungs. And any rate, so long story short, I've never been able to have horses, but I've grown around horses. I've grown up around horses. And when I found out that we're having Kim as our guest, I was so excited because to learn about what she does is amazing. Now, I've grown up at the racetrack, so I see what those guys do with race horses that are very high strung, but they train them to race, and the horses love it, and they do great at it. But what Kim does is a little different. And so, Kim, welcome. Thank you for coming on. Really, really happy to have you. Kim Wende, I'd like you to just start out and tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us your story about how you got to where you're at today and actually offering your services of horse training to people. So with that, if you could take over, and I may interject and ask a few questions. I'll jump in when needed, but for the most part, it's yours. The show is yours.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And I think it's great what you're doing too, and the product that you have. Very interesting. I've been on some of your blabs, and they're always very informative. So I'm glad you're doing this. Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Wende. I'm owner of Passionate Horsemanship. And what I do is I work with new and existing horse owners who struggle with not getting the results that they desire when training their horse. And what I do is I teach them how to communicate in a language their horse will understand so that they'll be able to get the results they desire. And then they'll have a horse that understands and listens to them. So that's what I do. And sorry, my son was telling me goodbye there.
That's all right. That's what's cool about Blab. It's all live. So it's.
Yeah. I told him, I said, you guys keep that baby quiet. I'm being interviewed. So he just barely cracked the door and was like, bye. So anyway, how I got started with doing the into holistic is that I've been working with holistic products and methods for 27 plus years. And I got started because when my son was little, he was doing projectile vomit. And I'd taken him to the doctor over and over. And they finally got to the point where they said, you know, there's this little flapper in this area here that is not developed correctly, and we're going to have to operate. That scared me to death because he was so young. And so I called my mother, and she said, go to the health food store. That there's got to be somebody there that can help you with something. So I did, and I ran into a man by the name of Mr. Graves and told him what was happening. And he said, honey, I want you to lay that baby on the table right there. And I did. And he was all balled up like this when I laid him down. He said, energetically, he is still connected to you. So he took and he did energy with him by making the energy balanced in the body. And when he did that, when he took his hands and he just went over my son like that, my son just relaxed and just started opening up. And then he told me, he said, I want you to put him on fresh goat's milk, and told me 3 different herbs to put him on. And I did that. The next day, he quit projectile vomit. I said, oh my gosh, I want to learn more about this. So I started learning more about it because after that, I get really passionate about my herbs and homeopathics and all the modalities that I use, because I get really irritated with the medical field which I understand they don't study the holistic stuff. They're trained to do what they do, but it's basically putting a Band-Aid on things. They're not getting to the root of the problem. And I see the same thing a lot of times with veterinarian work. And you guys, I'm not dishing them at all, because there's a time and a place to use regular, veterinarians and stuff. It's just that everything that I've learned, I've been able to help so many horses and people with their dogs, and, you know, horse owners too. So that's what made me get into it. And I started studying it more and more about the herbs. And every time this man came to town, I would go to his meetings and would study with him and learn about all the herbs and the things that he did to go around the United States helping people. And I also learned how to do human iridology, which led me into doing equine iridology.
Which
and
is
it helped.
What is iridology?
Iridology is where it's the study of the, you look at the eye to see the weaknesses and the strengths. We don't diagnose and prescribe. And let me say offhand too, is that I am not a veterinarian. I don't diagnose and I don't prescribe. I just share the things that have worked for me and my horses is what I do. So it's really, really fascinating, because when I go and do an iridology session for people, I tell them, do not tell me what is going on with you, because I want to validate. When I look in their eyes, I might say, you know, I see a weakness in the shoulder area. Have you had anything go on? And they're like, yeah, I broke my shoulder a few years. How did you know that? Because it shows up in the eye, is what it does.
Oh, cool. And so you do that. You do that same. I guess it's kind of diagnosis in a way with horses and animals. The same things apply.
Yeah, it's with horses, and what it is you can go to my site, which is passionatehorsemanship.com, and click on the holistic horse care. You'll find links there that will take you like to the equine iridology page. And the equine iridology is an assessment modality that looks at the body's constitutional strengths and weaknesses, the levels of inflammation, and the functioning of the elimination system and organs. It's not a treatment technique or diagnostic tool. We just use it like a nutritional guide.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So
very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going down this road. You got into iridology, and so how did you end up? Have you always had a ranch? Have you always been involved with horses? At what point did you get in horses and the love for horses? How did that come about?
Well, I've been involved with horses for 40 plus years, and I had horses ever since I was 12 years old, and I got my first equine was a donkey, and I trained him to ride. And my dad, every time my dad would come out there, that donkey would sit down. He didn't care for my dad. He didn't want to do anything for my dad, but he did all kinds of things for me. And you know, they'll say, oh my gosh, donkeys are so stubborn. Well, it's not that they're stubborn. Donkeys are incredibly intelligent, and they're not going to do anything that will get them hurt. Unlike a horse, you can kind of force them into doing things. Donkeys, they're like, I am not going there, period. They are really funny little animals. I mean, I have a miniature donkey right now, and he is so much fun and such a character.
Oh, awesome.
So, and then after that, I got a horse, and what I did is I saved my lunch money to get this horse, and she was really, really sweet. And my grandfather, she wasn't broke to ride, but my grandfather helped me. He rode Lipizans in the Calvary, and he was an awesome horseman.
Wow.
So he taught me a lot of stuff, and he helped me get this horse under saddle. And she was real easy to break because her personality was just, she was so sweet and loving and stuff. So it didn't take much with her. Then my second horse that I got, when we went to get her, the guy hid the bridle behind his back and walked it to her. And I thought, oh, that's really funny that he's hiding the bridle behind his back. Well, it's because she'd run from him. She didn't want to be caught. So he kind of basically had to sneak up on her. And she reared over backwards. And so I got her over that and went on to become rodeo queen with her in New Mexico. And did a lot of things with that horse. She was a awesome, awesome horse.
So that took you into your young adult age, or were you still a teenager at that point?
Yeah, I was still a teenager at that point, and I used to do a lot of play days, enjoyed them, had a lot of fun with them. And my little horse that I paid $65 for, I'll never forget, there was a guy that I competed, it was in the Western Pleasure class, competed against him. At the time, he had paid $5,000 for his horse, and you know, back then that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I beat him.
Nice.
Yeah. And it made him mad.
That's awesome.
Because I'd only paid $65 for my horse and he paid $5,000. So anyway, but I finally got to the point where I got into showing, and I really liked the showing instead of doing the play day. So I started more into that direction, and had a quarter horse that I showed for several years. I've showed Arabian some. I've also showed Welsh ponies, miniatures, and Shetlands. And getting into that, I just, like I said, I really love the showing aspect and the fact that anything with a pattern. I love anything to do with a pattern.
Kim, let me stop you there real quick, because there's a lot of people that'll be watching this in the future. Some of them will be horse people, but a lot of them will be just animal lovers that'll be watching this on our site when we post it for replay. Tell us a little bit about what you mean showing horses. What does that involve? What are you actually doing with the horse? A lot of us are familiar with dog shows where they walk the dog around the ring and a judge judges the dog and that kind of thing. But so tell us what's involved in a show. Okay.
Well, first of all, when I say play days, it was things like pole bending, barrel racing, what they call keyhole race, where they take flour and make like a keyhole on the ground where there's a circle and a alleyway to come in, and you go in there and have to turn around and come out. So it was things like that was play day. When I talk about showing, it's things like halter, where you really groom your horse up to the 9th degree, and you go in there and you show your animal, and it's based on conformation when you do a halter class. Then there's also the Western Pleasure, where the horses go around the outside of the ring, and it's based on how well they perform. And you also have English Pleasure, where they ride in the English saddle, and they basically do the same thing, go around the outside of the ring. You also have Western riding, where there's some obstacles involved in that. So it's along that nature of the show rings.
Is it similar to dog shows where you are judged by a judge, or is it a time trial, or is it both?
No, it is, you're judged by a judge. And a lot of times it's just one judge. When you get into some of the other shows, you might have up to 4 judges. Like when you go to the world shows, a lot of times they have 4 judges there at a time. When you go to your smaller shows, it's usually just one judge. But like showing the miniatures and the Shetlands, because, you know, we didn't ride them as adults, there was a lot of things that you did in hand. You still did your halter classes, but they also pulled carts. You did in-hand trail, which is an obstacle course that you navigate. They also do hunter classes, where you run beside them and get them to jump over the jumps, and that's based on how pretty they go, their gait, which means that they stay at the same trot the whole time. And then they have the jumper classes, where that is a timed event, and you have to go as fast as you can running beside that miniature or Shetland, jumping those jumps. And they do the same thing as they do in the big horses. You get faults for knocking a pole or ticking a pole.
Right. Interesting. Now, so did you grow up, you said New Mexico, you're in Texas now, I understand.
Right.
So were you mostly in the Western, or did you do all of those different show modalities, I guess you'd call them?
I've ridden both. I've ridden Western and English, because I used to do some hunter classes. Nice. Where I did the jumping and stuff like that. I mean, there's a difference between hunter and jumper. Like I said, hunter is based on how well the horse goes over the jump, how pretty they look and all that stuff, and the gait. Do they maintain the gait? Jumper is go as fast as you can. And I didn't do the jumper classes. And then the jumps get a lot higher in jumper classes is what they do.
That makes sense. Okay, so now you're probably in the storyline somewhere coming into young adulthood, and obviously you never left horses, or horses never left you, as the case may be. So where did you go from there?
Well, as I went along in my adult life, it was interesting. I got involved with a program called Really Natural Horsemanship. And the way I got involved with that was I saw an article in the newspaper that was talking about natural horsemanship. And I thought, oh, that's right up my alley. I love these natural products with horses, the holistic products. And I thought, I'm going to go check this out. Well, it turned out to be where you work with the horses based on their body language and stuff. And so I got involved with that program and was involved with them for 5 years. I worked my horses 7 days a week because I wanted to be a student or an instructor in the program.
Okay.
And so that's how I got involved with them and doing that. And towards the end, I mean, I saw horses in there that were getting really frustrated, and they would start rearing up. They had bad attitudes and stuff because they were having to do the same things over and over. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. There's just got to be a better way. And so I started searching out, and I came across clicker training. And a friend of mine was doing it, and I watched her doing some stuff with her miniature horses, and I thought, this is the neatest thing.
Now, what'd you call it? Clicker training? It's
called clicker training.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, it's using positive reinforcement is what it is. And so it's basically, when I work with a horse, I take them and teach them what clicker training is about. So I have them touch a target, and then I use a clicker as soon as they touch that target, I use that clicker that makes a noise to tell them, yes, that's what I wanted. And then I deliver the treat to the horse. Because
nice.
Horses are all about staying safe, food, and procreation. So, that's their 3 things that they want to do all the time.
Yep.
So after I started doing that and started getting really phenomenal results with my horses, and they showed me they loved it, I said, oh my gosh, I'm incorporating this into the program that I already do. So I started using that. And I will have to say, I'll back up just a little bit. In 2000, I had got hurt in a riding accident. And the horse that I was riding, we were just doing a walking exercise, and he got bumped, and he went into a violent bucking fit. And I had stayed on him, and at the time, I didn't hear the instructor. And when I finally heard her, she said, get off, get off. And he was going straight up, and the reason why she told me to get off is because he was almost going back over on top of me. Mm. So I remember it was like in slow motion, and I jumped off. When I landed with my knees buckled up behind me like this, and I could see him in front of me kicking, and so I threw myself backwards so he wouldn't kick me in the head and the chest and stuff. And after that, I got up, and I was going to get back on him, and they said, no, just go sit down. So I started walking out of the arena, and when I got to the arena gate, the top part of my leg fell off the bottom part of my leg. And I was like, okay. I mean, it went like this. And I thought, something is really wrong.
Yeah.
So I better not get back on. Yeah. And I went and sat down. And I sat there and kept watching. And people said, Kim, don't you think you should go to the hospital? And I said, no, I'm fine. I mean, it hurt a little bit, but nothing I couldn't handle. So I finally wound up going and had x-rays, and they couldn't see anything wrong. And I finally had to have an MRI. I tore my ACL completely in half. Mm. And the reason why they told me it didn't hurt is because I ripped all the nerve endings apart.
Oh, my God.
So that's why there was hardly any pain.
Oh.
And that was what led me to get into miniatures and then from there graduate back up to or go to Shetlands. But you know, I don't like that it happened because my knee still sometimes will give me fits. And when I went to rehab, they told me that was the worst thing to rehab from. But
how old were you when this happened?
That happened in 2000.
Okay, it's not that long ago. 15,
so
16 years ago.
No. And as you get older, you don't heal as quickly as you do when you're younger. That's for sure.
You don't have to tell me that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how I got into them. And then I started graduating back up to Shetlands because I wanted to get something bigger. Now I have quarter ponies, Welsh ponies, and I like them around 13 to 13.3 hands is what I like. So
now tell me,
I just wanted to.
Is that because they're just a size that are more manageable, or you just like working with that size horse when you say that?
Well, the reason why I got into him is because the doctor didn't want me around big horses and stuff.
Oh, because of your knee, yeah.
Right. So they just didn't want me around him. And I thought, I can't be without horses. I got to have horses and be around him and stuff. And so that's when I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to get into the miniatures. And they were a blast. I mean, I had a lot of fun with them, a lot of fun showing them. And I highly recommend if anybody is thinking about it to go for it. I mean, but you need to talk to somebody that is knowledgeable in it because, man, you can get your shirt taken big time. Yeah. Just like with any horse, you know, you need to talk to a professional or somebody that really knows what they're doing in the field.
Okay, so tell us about that, Kim. That leads me into another thing that you do with your website, because you help those people, and you can help new people or even people that are seasoned veterans horse owners. You can help them with their training techniques, and the way I understand it, it's not like you necessarily have to go there or they come to you. You can help them and have programs that they work with online. Is that, did I understand that correctly? So that
is correct.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that, and because that may be really valuable to some people that are going to be watching this replay, or even somebody in the room at this time.
Okay, well, what I do is I specialize in horse agility, in-hand trail, and ridden trail obstacle. And I decided to specialize in that because the difference that I've seen with people, that when they start working with their horses through obstacles, and especially when you get things on the ground good, man, when you get on their back, it makes all the difference in the world. And it helps to develop that bond and stuff. So and that's something that I have competed with, you know, in the in-hand trail and the obstacle courses and stuff. But I just wanted to develop an online course so that I can help people no matter where they live. And the way that my course works is that I like to have it where I've done videos to show people the task at hand. Then they have a PDF file that they can print out so they can take with them out to the barn in case they get lost and what's going on and stuff like that. And then they can do couple of 10-minute videos, send it back to me, and I do an audio coaching them through the process and can help them that way. Nice. So, and the people that I've had take it they've loved it. I mean, you can't find it on my website right now because I'm doing some revamping and stuff. I'll have it up there again pretty soon. But the people that had taken it said that they absolutely loved it. And one lady who had never competed before, she went in the horse agility competition, and out of everybody for that entire month, I think there was 40 that competed. She was the only one that made a score of 100, which wow. I knew she was going to do good, but I didn't know she was going to do that good. So she was pretty happy.
I'm assuming that's the best score you can get.
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And then I had another lady that competed in what's called the ACTA, which is the American Competitive Trail Horse Association. And she said, Kim, I wouldn't have been able to go do this if I wouldn't have taken your online course. So, you know, for me, it's about helping people become successful with what they want to do with their horse and develop that bond instead of force, fear, or intimidation with the animal. Because you can speak a language that horse understands and not have to do the force, fear, and intimidation.
Awesome. And that's why you're a horse whisperer.
Right, right. Now, like we talked about earlier, when I lived in Oklahoma many moons ago. We won't mention how many years ago that was, but it's a lot of years ago. I used to exercise racehorses.
Ah.
And I couldn't ride on the track because it was at the time where they didn't want women jockeys. And so I got to exercise them.
There you go. You're dating yourself again, Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was a lot of fun, man, riding those racehorses. When they come out of that gate, oh my gosh, the power of them coming out of that gate was just fabulous. And one of the horses I rode was 18 hands tall, and he was like a Mercedes. He knew what day to breeze and what day to really run. But it was incredible. It was a lot of fun. And that was before I learned about all the other techniques that I know. And I just, like I said, I exercised them and did what the owners wanted at the time.
Sure. Or the trainers then, they'd have their protocol that they would put the horses through. And for those of you that don't know, and maybe you can explain that a little bit, but I'll tell you what I know about at racetracks. The horses go out, and at the racetrack, horses are there for, obviously they're there in a stall, 12 by 12 or so, or a little bigger sometimes, a little smaller sometimes, depending on the racetrack. But they're there basically 24 hours a day, and they get out every day at least an hour, and they take them. They'll walk them some days. They'll breeze them. They'll trot them. They'll full on race speed them at different distances, depending on what distances the horse runs. So they get out there and they absolutely love it, because like Kim was saying earlier, to them, this is their playtime. And they throw the saddle on those racehorses and they get so excited. You see their faces light up. It's really a joy to see. And I think that's a little bit what you're talking about this horse knew when it was his day to do this type of exercise or that type of exercise. They just know, because they're in a very routine environment, that they do the same thing, different things each day, but they do the same thing for the most part each week, depending on when they're coming up with a race or whatever may be the case.
Right. I mean, there was some of them. We had a little filly that, oh man, she was a booger bear. I mean, you didn't mess around getting on her, because she was going to try to kick your head off. You better get on. And she was something else.
Now, she didn't like it, or
I don't think based on the way she was acting, I don't think she really enjoyed the job. I think she wanted to be doing something else. And that's where, it's sad for me to see when people do that with horses, when they hate their job and you just keep forcing them to do it, because it's just like us. There's things we're really good at and things we're not, and we're just not going to do well in those. So why force us to do it? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, the other thing is that I found out through my father is that a lot of times, and we've seen it with our bioequalizer, which we treat many racehorses at the racetrack with, and we nebulize this product to them. One of the things that can cause that is they're hurting. They may have something that's causing them to be off-putting like that. It's not that they hate their job, so to speak. It's just they're hurting. And you can help them get over that to where they feel good. They're just like us. We have jobs. We go to work every day. But you know what? If we're sick, we don't want to go to work. And it makes it difficult to work. You can't concentrate because you're either sneezing, you get who knows what, throwing up, as you mentioned, your son, diarrhea, whatever it is. It makes it almost impossible to work. And horses and animals are no different. They have to be feeling good to have fun. And, like we're having fun right now because I took my Bio Pro today. So I'm feeling good. So at any rate, it's a very involved process. It's not something that's simply put that you take a pill and you're going to feel better. But it goes to your nutrition. It goes to the animal's nutrition, what you're feeding them. And I see that you have that on your site. You have a whole holistic nutrient program for your horses, and people can check that out with you also. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that too, Kim.
Right, and that's one thing that I'm big on. I don't like these cookie cutter programs. When I work with somebody, I find out what are your goals with your horse. And I want to find out more about how long you've had your horse. You know, tell me more about your horse and stuff, because I look at the whole horse. It's not just get in there and we're going to use this method on the horse, because it could be that they might have a rib out of place. Their back might be sore. You know, those issues need to be addressed. Maybe they have teeth problems. Teeth problems can cause so many things to go wrong with horses. Maybe you might be feeding them sweet feed, which I call a crap feed, and you're leaving them pinned up in a stall. And then when you take them out, well, no wonder they're going to act like an idiot, because they got all this sugar and stuff running through their blood and they can't concentrate and they act up, and people go, well, I'll show you, horse. I'm going to throw you down or put a tie down on you or something like that. So yes, I look at the whole horse, because it's not just one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes with all our pets. You know, that's the one thing that I have always admired in my father being a veterinarian, because he is a doctor. Obviously, he understands all the different areas that a horse can be sick or anything like that. He also understands how medicines and drugs interact with the horses, but he can't ask a horse how they feel. We go to our doctors and a doctor says, hey, you're hurting. My shoulder hurts, or this or that. He has to try and understand what's going on in a horse and then prescribe or dictate a modality that will help that horse overcome that problem. And so I've always admired my father for that ability, because to me, you know, it's important, but he's like the extra step to me, because it's not as hard for a doctor to ask you what might be wrong with you and then just zero in on that particular procedure. But when you have a patient like a dog or a cat or a horse or a guinea pig or any of our furry animals, they can't tell you what's wrong with them. We have to find that out and understand that. And that's one of the things that I really enjoyed learning about you, Kim, is that you do the same type of thing with your animals. You get to know them, and then you see what their reactions are to certain stimulus, and then you can figure out what may be hurting on them. And that's what's so great about what you do. And I think that's what anybody should do that loves animals. And I think that's what we're here about. And that's why we've started our animal healthcare, both a blog and a whole section on that, where we'll be putting up videos like this one, so that people can come and understand what they can do with their animals and how we can help their animals live a happy, healthy life. And that's what we want for ourselves. It stands to reason that that's what we want for our dogs and our cats and our horses in this case, or our alpacas in Wayne's case. Wayne lives, I didn't mention it, up in Colorado, and he has he lives on a farm, and he has alpacas, and he also breeds and raises, I think, golden retrievers. He's off screen. I don't know if he's there. I hope I got that right, but he's done that for years and years. So he's an avid dog lover. But any rate, that's where we come from, and so we're excited about this whole launch now to get our animal health up and running and going, so that people can focus on themselves first, because you need to be healthy to take care of your animals, but then you can come in and get your animals healthy also, and your pets and your loved ones, because they are family, as you know.
Yeah, and that's, you know, like you had said earlier, you don't just take one thing. It's not the magic pill. There's a combination of things that work together and stuff that you have to look at. And that's one thing for me, that I'm always open to learning new things. And I can always go to people and learn either what I want to take away or what I do not want to use whatsoever. So you can always learn from people, no matter what it is. And that's why I have the different modalities that I have, so that I can look at the different things. Like, for instance, being able to look at their eyes and see what's going on with the body. And then I also do the advanced photonic therapy, which is a red light technique that I have used on horses to help them assist the body in, you know, balancing the energy throughout the body and stuff. And it's just done some amazing things. And the way I got involved with that is I had a friend of mine come through that was going to Colorado to a horse camp up there. And this was kind of the halfway point. And so she stayed here and she was telling me about it. And at the time, my knee was, I couldn't go downstairs normally like, you know, normal people did. I'd have to hold on to the rail and go real slow because of the way after my ACL tear. And so I also had a bad sinus infection, and she showed me this light and told me about it. And I said, you know, I'll give it a try. I mean, I felt like it wasn't going to hurt me. So I used it on my sinus points. I used it on my knee. The next day, my sinus infection was so much better. And when I got out of bed, usually in the morning, I'd have to really work my knee before I could get up and go walking very good, because it would stay kind of bent. The next morning, I got up and was able to walk really good. And I thought, there is something to this. So I started studying about that. And Dr. McLaren, who used to live here in the United States, I had him come to my place and do a training. And I got a certificate of completion in that to be able to teach other people. And so, again, I started working. You know, if people ask me, well, do you think it could help me? I don't know. Let me try and see. And, you know, some people got results right away, and other people it might take 8-10 times for them to see any results. Sure. And with horses, the biggest thing that I found is the West Nile virus, getting them over that with this advanced photonic therapy that I use. Now, since Dr. McLaren now lives back in Australia, and he used to have a clinic in Oklahoma where he helped tons of people, but he moved back to Australia. He kind of got fed up with things here because of people jumping on prescription drugs so much and being a Band-Aid. Where in Australia, he could talk more freely about what he does and really help people like he was doing here in the States.
Now, is he a medical doctor or?
He's a veterinarian.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I wonder if my dad knew him or knows him, because he's been around a long time.
Yeah, because you can go check on the advanced photonic therapy and see all about him and stuff like that. He's just so knowledgeable. And what it is, the advanced photonic therapy is the same thing as acupuncture, but you don't use needles. And it's just phenomenal what it does.
Awesome.
So it's like I said, it's another modality that I use. You know, I may not grab that at first. It may be that I do the what's called the bioenergy synchronization techniques, which is points on the body that you can go to and find out what's going on in that horse. So, you know, I might go that direction or something, but I also do muscle testing to find out what's going on in the body. So there's just a bunch of different things.
Muscle testing, is that, for our audience, for my knowledge also, is that same thing as kinesiology on muscle testing? Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. Because I know that out at the racetrack, and a lot of people may not know that, we have everything from veterinarians to chiropractors to kinesiologists to acupuncturists. There's all kinds of natural alternative modalities that people are using with horses and with animals, because it's just easier to get to use those with animals as it is with humans, because the FDA will step in and not allow certain doctors to do certain things on humans where they can do it on animals. So we're starting to see a lot more of that, at least at the racetrack. All kinds of magnetic, electropulse magnetic machines. They go around and use it for injuries and muscle soreness, and it works really amazing for that. So there's all kinds of different things that we can do, and that we do out at the racetrack, and in all lines of animals. And we do have, if anybody wants to come on, I'll open a chair. If anybody wants to come on, we only have about 10 minutes left in our blab, but if you would want to come in and ask Kim questions, that would be fine. We have a few people in the room. If not, maybe we can kind of wrap up here, Kim. What do you, anything more that you want to say before we kind of close out here? I don't see anybody wanting to come in right now. There's Wayne. He finally.
Well, I'm hoping.
Hold on, just a minute. He finally got back in, and I don't know if he was trying to say something. He may want to.
Oh, I've been listening, and I was in an Uber car and wasn't able to get on. And you saw me. I was showing the beautiful downtown San Diego and the ships out in the harbor and things as I was driving. Kim's been awesome. Kim, tell me a little more about your experience with clicker training. Obviously, in dogs, we do a lot of clicker training. You just gave a little bit to that, but just to talk a little bit more about what your thoughts are about clicker training.
Well, with the clicker training, like I said, it's one of the tools that I use. You know, if somebody came to me with a horse that had food aggression and stuff, I may not start right there with it, you know, because you have to be able to back that horse out of your space first. So it's not one of those things that it's a magic tool that fixes everything. But it is a very powerful tool. And I've used it with clients' horses, my horses, and just gotten some phenomenal results. I like the way that it gets the horse to thinking, and then they start showing you, I know exactly what you're talking about. As an example, when I teach them to back, then they start backing on their own, and I know that they totally understand what I'm asking them instead of being forced into doing something. So that's what I just love about clicker training, is because you get a thinking animal that really cooperates and it deepens the bond.
So they call it clicker training. Are you actually clicking something? Is that what you're doing?
You actually have a clicker.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see if I can.
She probably has one right there. And it's a sound.
Yeah, I do.
There's a clicker.
Oh wow, very cool. And you use those in dog training also, Wayne? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe 20 years or so ago now. The primary mode before that of dog training was what would be called negative reinforcement training, and so all the training was around, you know, causing some kind of a pain that the animal would want to avoid. So it was negative reinforcement. And then I can't remember the lady that came up with it, but that it was behaviorally determined that dogs could respond better to positive reinforcement. So a clicker is not the positive reinforcement. The clicker is what you use to then give them some kind of positive reinforcement. So you would click, so something you put in your hand. At the same time, you give them a treat. At the same time, you praise them. At the same time, you throw a toy for them. Dogs are motivated by three different ways. And one is food, one is praise, and the third is toys, play. And some of them are more motivated by one rather than the other. The clicker is what they associate with it. Eventually, you can use the clicker alone. The clicker itself becomes the form of reward and motivation. So I would assume horses will learn the same way, Kim. Is that correct?
They do. And what I tell people too is, if you decide you want to stop using the clicker, really be careful of what you use. I don't like to say good boy, good girl, or you don't want to use the sound like something like that, because it's something that people use to get their horse to trot or to canter. So my noise that I use when I stop using clicker is I go, that's a different sound than horses are used to ever hearing in the show ring.
Okay.
And so that's what I use.
By the way, we got to get to this. Teresa had a
I'm going to put it back up here. It looks like it's from me. I think I know the way you're going to answer this, Kim, but Teresa's working my thing over in the chat. That's why it looks like it's from me, and I think she might have a 10-year-old. Says, what would you recommend for a 10-year-old obsessed with horses? Is this too early to have her own?
I say what I would do with the 10-year-old that's obsessed, because I've went through this with my son when he was little. I would have them take lessons first instead of buying their own horse. to make sure that's exactly what they wanted. Because what happens a lot of times with kids, you think, okay, I'm going to buy them a horse. And then they get to where they don't want to take care of it. And parents are the ones that are taking care of the animal and stuff. So I would definitely have them take lessons, but I would also look for an instructor that not only taught them how to ride, but how to work with their horse. That is so important, because I've had so many people tell me, oh my gosh, I wished I would have done this with my children instead of just riding lessons, because then when they get older, they don't know how to really train the horse to get them to do what they want, because they rode a school master that knew how to do these things.
And then she also wrote, yes, she has 2 donkeys now. So apparently they've already kind of got that way. And we know that you love donkeys, and that's kind of how you got started. So maybe she's on the same path as you, Kim.
She may be. I mean, you know, she's already out there taking care of the donkeys and stuff. Maybe she's ready for a horse, to get a horse. If she's already proven to you that, hey, I'm out there with the donkeys, I'll take care of them, do whatever. Because I know I've been horse crazy ever since I can remember.
That's awesome. And still are horse crazy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Always will be.
Yeah. Don't take him away from me. I always told my son that, look, son, because he used to go show with me. I said, I'll never force you to keep going, but don't ever ask me to give him up.
And how many do you have now?
I have
7 horses. That's awesome. So obviously you have a little ranch there in Texas, or maybe a big ranch, but you have 7 horses there now.
Yeah, we live on 5 acres out in the country.
That's awesome.
Kim, tell us one thing that has happened to you in your career that that was negative at the time, really negative, and yet now you see it as something that has turned out to be really positive.
For me, it was the riding accident that I had in 2000. And the reason why I say that was negative is because I thought for a long time, if I told people about it, they would not think I was a professional or want to work with me. But now I don't see it that way. And not that I liked that I tore my ACL, but it took me a different path to learn about miniatures and Shetlands and meet some great people. And I learned from that experience to listen to my gut, because I was going to a clinic and something told me, don't take this horse. He's too new. You haven't done all the groundwork. And I just said, eh. And I took him and I got hurt. Great.
So then, and then turned into and that was the big positive and the big take back from that, because you learned that it can be a negative, can be a positive, and you've taken the worst and made it the best. That's awesome.
Right.
Very cool.
Right.
Well, it looks like you're there, Wayne.
It starts in just a little bit, but they actually take a little while to open up the doors, and I showed you just a second there of the Brendan Burchard banner, and again, just highly recommend if anybody wants to check him out online. It's not, we get no benefit from it, honestly, but he's amazing. And he's going to be the next, like I said, I think he's the young and upcoming Tony Robbins. One last question for me, Kim, and then I'm going to jump off, Mike, and this has been awesome. I've learned a lot. Was what would be right off the top of your head, the best advice you can give someone who is, they're already casually involved in horses, but they're really thinking about now getting involved with the competitive side of horses through showing, gymkhana, and let's say that they're a teenager. They've already had a course casually now. Now they want to get involved in the active competition side.
I would tell them to get with somebody who's already been down that path, a mentor that can really help guide them along, because when you start getting into competition, there are some people that are really cutthroat, and I've seen it happen where horses have had things done to them because they started winning. So I would get with a mentor that can really help you and guide you and take you under their wings and show you the way to go.
Very cool.
Well,
that makes a lot of sense.
That's great. I'm going to jump off, Mike. And
okay,
Kim,
Wayne, thanks for being
thank
here.
you so much. And Teresa, thank you for all your work. Boy, she's just down there just answering. She put a link to Brendan's site on. Remember Amelia? She did put a link in the chat earlier. Pick up some trash tomorrow, everybody, and help make the planet better and help Amelia towards her dream for her Make-A-Wish situation. Thanks a lot. Jump off. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Wayne. Thanks.
Bye.
Well, Kim, is there anything that you would like to add kind of in a final parting shot, if you will?
Yeah, there's a few things. You guys can find out more about me by going to my website at passionatehorsemanship.com. And if you want to learn about the holistic stuff, click on the holistic horse care there. I'll be having my online courses up here again pretty soon. If you would like to work with me, I do work one-on-one and can do it through video also. And then the other thing is that you guys think about this, is spend time with your horses. Don't always go out there and just get them and work with them. Spend time with them. That's what creates a bond. That's what horses love doing with each other, spending time hanging out. And the last thing is one of my people that supports me and I support them was here and she had to leave. I'm with the PetScopeTV.com. We do a Periscope broadcast weekly. A lot of different things go on there with pets and other animals. We'd love to have you come over there and check us out and join us over there.
In fact, I'm excited. I'm excited about that, Kim, and thank you for being here. We really, really enjoyed this. It's been really informative for me because, you know, I thought I knew a little bit about horses, but you bring a whole different realm. Never owning horses myself, only seeing what my dad did at the racetrack or does at the racetrack. It's a whole different perspective, and it's having them as a pet as opposed to owning a horse and at the racetrack. It's a whole different story and it's a whole different game, and I can equate it only to my dogs that I love. And you know, it'd probably be very similar. You just they become your family, they understand you, and it kind of makes me want to go out and get a horse, to be honest with you. So
well, and that's why I love helping people with their horses, because I hate to see people get into a situation with the horse and then they can't handle it, and it breaks their heart to sell that horse because horses can kill you so fast. And so I'm all about safety and helping them get through that process so they can keep that horse if they
That's exciting. Well, Kim, sorry we have to wrap this thing up. I would love to go all day with you, but I really, really enjoyed it, and maybe we can have you back. And you mentioned that you come from an IT background, so maybe we can even get you to help on some of these animal health related labs, and you could come on and maybe even be a co-host, and maybe we can interact with your other Periscope thing and come on there and help you there and get on there. We definitely want to see that, and I want to see it, and I will definitely be involved with you there. So let's keep in touch.
Right.
And again, if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. For you, those of you that are watching this on a replay or on YouTube, please go to our website, which is right under my picture, and subscribe to our animal health blog, and you'll be getting regular updates and blogs and articles that will help with your animals. Thanks again for being here, Kim, and look forward to doing this again.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.